Welcome back to my podcast, the show where we dive deep into the world of real estate, leadership, and building powerful partnerships that move businesses forward. I'm your host, Scott Kumler, and today we've got a very special guest joining us. Today I'm super excited to have Benjamin Veeder as the guest. Benjamin went from selling 0 homes in his first year and a half with one team to selling 20 homes the following year by joining another team. Benjamin will break down in this video what to look for in a team and the importance of joining a good team when you first get into real estate. If today's episode sparks ideas for you and you're an agent who wants to explore bigger opportunities, we'd love to connect. If you're interested in learning what a partnership with me and Benjamin looks like, either call or text me at 623-387-2688 or set up a Zoom meeting with my calendar link below. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button to see more amazing podcasts like this in the future. Now let's get started. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the back to the podcast. Super excited to have an amazing guest on today. Today I have Benjamin Veeder on my podcast. So welcome, Benjamin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yep, awesome. So I'm super thrilled to kind of get it in a little bit of Benjamin's story, here. But one of the things I find, especially with new agents, is they're always looking at potentially, their option between a team or an independent agent. And one of the reasons why I want to invite Benjamin on today is because he's actually on our team, and I wanted to see what it is that he did when he decided to join our team, and kind of those steps and what he was looking for and stuff like that. But before I kind of get into all the nuts and bolts about the team process and why you joined our team and things of that nature, if you can just kind of take me through a little bit of your backstory and what got you into real estate in the first place, and then kind of how that initial steps started out.
Absolutely. So I was a police officer for many years. After leaving law enforcement, I started my own business in another state, and it was time to come down to Arizona. So with that being said, I decided that I was going to take real estate courses while I was still in that state, and did that all online. And with the understanding that that's what I wanted to do coming down here. No more outdoor. No one wants to do landscaping out in Arizona. It's really hot, and law enforcement was not the most safe job in the world. So real estate was where I wanted to be and start taking care of my family. With that being said, I took all the courses, like I said, online. Came down here the very first day, went and took my test with the school. After I passed the school test, went and took the state test, and there it was. I had a friend who was in real estate down here who was part of another team. Actually, she was the team leader, and said, "Hey, when you come down here, we're going to get you going." And so I was excited, and that's where it all started for me.
Nice, nice.
Um,
Awesome. So yeah, and just so kind of take us through the beginning stages. So obviously, and you probably had, you've had obviously been on two different teams, right? Since you got into real estate, and so a lot of times agents are looking at, okay, between like the difference between joining like a good team and a bad team and what they should look for, stuff like that. But so take me through like the beginning stages. Obviously, you joined a team when you first got into real estate, and it was because of your relationship that you already had, correct?
that's correct. So I did start with this team, and I think with that team, there was a lack of knowledge, there was a lack of training, there was a mentality of, all right, you're on our team, figure it out. And for someone especially new to real estate, new to the area, I literally had no idea where to turn. I could do social media, I could go and door knock all I wanted, but I had no real leadership, no real guidance. So I was kind of left, fed to the wolves there, and I got to a point where I was ready to step out of real estate altogether. Um, I hadn't made one sale, not even close, not one lead in a year and a half, and I was pounding the pavement every single day. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't have a way of tracking anything. I didn't know. I was just hopefully someone's going to say, "Yeah, come sell my house," or "Yeah, I'm looking to buy a house." But at that point, I had a conversation with another one of our team leaders, one of our mentors on the team, Brandy, and she said, "Hey, come talk to Scott." She said, "You work way too hard to be nowhere in real estate." I said, "You know what, Brandy, I'm not there. I feel like I just need to go in a different direction." She says, "No, you're too good for this." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll talk to Scott." and the rest is kind of history.
Yeah. So obviously, you at that point, we had a conversation. You obviously ended up joining our team. When you first joined our team, what were some of the things that I guess sold you on joining our team? So, like, what are some of the things that we provided that maybe you weren't getting before, or what made you decide to kind of go ahead and jump at that point to actually stay in real estate and then join us?
Absolutely. So I had about 6 months left on my initial 2 year license when I first talked with you. But really, it got me excited. Just our initial conversation just got me excited about real estate again. Just the amount of training that I got, the get shit done. Um, Joshua, oh my goodness, just the way that he amps you up, which he's absolutely incredible. The way that you talked about him, the way you talked about the team, the way Brandy talked about you, it was all exciting. And I think at that point I was looking for excitement again because at that point I was done. I was like, no, this is it for me. Like I feel like I wasted a bunch of time, a bunch of money because real estate getting into it is not inexpensive. So it is very expensive to get going. Um, but with all the trainings, all the structure, um, all the ways of tracking everything, your business plan, I mean, it's all laid out for you. And then just all the opportunities that are provided, the Zillow leads. You don't know how excited I was. The very first opportunity, I got one lead. Man, I was like, no way. Like, I
Mhm.
think I wrote you the very first time I got my first buyer broker agreement. And you're like, you're like, yeah, you're gonna get a bunch of those. But I was like, no, this is my first one. I'm so excited. And I actually have it framed. So yeah, it's a cool thing.
I love that. It's pretty awesome. And I will point this out too, especially if any new agents are listening. This is why it's so important to make sure you align yourself with the right partners and the right mentors because a lot of times people think real estate's easy and they get into real estate and there are no people and they're going ahead and sell a bunch of homes. But you want to make sure you align with people who have the right systems in place, the right training, because not all brokerages and teams are created equal. So even if you're in different states or like that, you want to make sure when you're interviewing brokerages and teams, they have the right training and support. But then on top of that, not just the training, and this is something I've talked a lot about recently, but you also want to make sure you're learning from the right people, right? Meaning the people that have done it before. Because there's a lot of people that label themselves as coaches in this industry that haven't sold any homes, right? They may charge people to coach, to coach them, but they don't have any experience themselves. I talk about, you talk a little about Josh. Josh was my mentor when I first got into real estate. The guy sold over 7,000 homes. I think he knows what he's talking about, right? He's done it personally himself, and he can speak to it because he's actually accomplished what most people are trying to accomplish. So, I do think that's extremely important, especially if people are listening, to make sure that they align themselves with the right mentorship, coaching, and training because they're not all created equal. So, now take me through. So, obviously, you joined our team. So take me through like kind of that first year. So obviously you're crushing it right now. You've actually become one of our top converters on our team, and you're just on a roll. How many transactions are you up to? How many transactions have you closed since you've been with us?
Yeah, 20,
20
20.
transactions. So you go from a year and a half not closing any deals, not getting any transactions, to then the next year basically selling 20 homes, and that's pretty incredible as well too. So if you were to give so if, let's say a new agent's looking at this Zoom meeting, or this podcast, and they're trying to think to themselves, okay, I'm trying to decide between independent agent or a team. Um, what would be your recommendation? And then if someone was looking at a team, what are some things that you think is important for them to look out for? Because obviously you've been on both ends of the spectrum, right? You've been on a team that maybe you didn't get the support, and then you've been on a team that gave you the support. So, what are some of the things that you'd recommend that a new agent should look for when it comes to joining a team?
Well, I think for me, I saw the glitz and glam. The person that I had hopped onto or her team, um, she was killing it. She was absolutely killing it. And I saw that as like, oh, I'm gonna hop on and kind of, be able to be a part of this. I think the difference in the team that we're on right now and the team that I was on is the willingness to number one, train, the willingness to help. Okay. And when I say help, I mean um, the weakest link, right? It goes back to that whole weakest link. You're only as strong as your weakest link. And at that point, I think this is what helped with you, Scott, is you put in the work, you put in the time, the money to help us get these leads where that was not happening before. Um, and you took me from being, the weakest link to, one of the stronger links, and it didn't happen right away. It did not happen right away. And it was again frustrations, that I had expressed with you along the way. I didn't even have my first transaction until 6 months in with you. But I had leads, I had the excitement, and we spoke every month, at least once a month. And it was just keep going. It's gonna hit. Eventually, it's gonna go from nothing to a bunch, and that's exactly what happened. There's a lot more buyer broker agreements that were signed. There was a lot of transactions coming in and all that, and literally it exploded. And these 20 transactions were all within 9 months. Um, I've got another one that's going to be closing in about 10 days, another one going under contract here soon. People working with my lenders left and right. While people aren't ready to go right now, we guide them. We lead that process. And, I think within the next, 4 or 5 months, I've got went from zero leads to 179 leads at this point. And I would say 120 of them are active and are actively trying to either fix their credit, fix their debt to income, but they are in the process of getting to a home that we can get them guided to.
Yeah, yeah, I'm definitely super proud of you, and definitely you've been definitely crushing it. And it seems like you were in our top five like almost every single month. So in the last like 6 months, so you're definitely on a roll. And obviously you're putting the work in too. Just from my standpoint, obviously I see the follow up calls, I see the conversations like we talk about. That's extremely important. So, and a lot of times, a lot of agents feel like they need immediate satisfaction. But ultimately, if you continue to be consistent over time, then eventually what will happen is the transaction will just start snowballing downhill. It might take like 4 months straight of doing open houses, but then eventually, next thing you get one transaction, then you get three, then you get five, then you get seven, and it just kind of starts snowballing downhill. And so it obviously shows from what you've done is you've been consistent, not attaching to the process, detaching from the outcome, and then eventually, like you mentioned, after 6 months, you close that first transaction, but the next thing you know, you start getting on a roll, and then now it seems like every month you're closing multiple transactions as well too. So that's super amazing. Now, obviously, we've recently made the move. We moved over to EXP. Fairly recent. So, what's your overall experience been with EXP? How have you liked the move? What are some things that you feel like are an amazing opportunity when it comes to being with EXP?
When it comes to XP, I love the move. Where we came from, I won't say any names or anything like that. But where we came from, it was great with them as well. However, I will say I've had more conversations with our broker team, the managing brokers and all that, and they're very open and easy to get a hold of, easy to talk to, and all that. But also when you sign on with EXP, you have the opportunity for that downline. And the downline has been huge for us in not only recruiting but also building a business for myself. As I've been lucky, and I've got some great agents underneath me. They have added not only experience to the team, but they've added. I mean, we're all in it. The one good saying is "Don't hate the money," right? So it does help with income, for us too. So when it comes to brokerage fees and all that, we're at a point now where I'm not going to have those brokerage fees because I've got downline, and eventually it's just going to keep growing and growing,
Yep.
and it's going to be successful in that sense. But the downline, the training, the people that we get to work with, they're all incredible.
Yeah, yeah. I'll say this. I mean, my personal opinion is I've never, to me, I'm a huge introvert, and so I've never networked with as many people and many amazing top producers I have, and I feel like finally I'm in a community that like I feel like I've grown my circle so much more, even though I've normally kept a very tight circle. Now I have a huge circle because of all the people that we've met within EXP, which is definitely an amazing opportunity as well too. And kind of like you mentioned, they've obviously got the systems in place in order to take care of their agents at a high level, so it's very easy to find someone to get support and to get help and things of that nature as well too. So, and kind of like you mentioned, one of the reasons why my personal opinion as a team leader, why we made this move is I said I wouldn't make this move unless I felt like it was in the best interest of our agents. And it's for agents like yourself because I saw the ability to help more agents make more money. And so, especially with those, their revenue share model and stuff like that. And because most agents, they're in production, but typically if they ever decide to get out of production, there's no exit strategy, right? There's no retirement plan, there's nothing like that. And with EXP, now there is that retirement plan. So, if someone doesn't want to do this forever, and they will get to retirement age, they can sit there and say, okay, I've got rev share coming in, or I've now got stock that I own. And now they have the ability to kind of retire and sail off in the sunset and do whatever they want to do. And so it's definitely an amazing opportunity. And because of this opportunity too, one of the things I love about it as well is now agents from all over the country and from international can now partner us with us as well too. So if an agent's looking at partnering with you and kind of hearing a little bit more about what we offer to our agents and stuff like that, or maybe an agent, because we are in the Phoenix, Arizona area. So if someone's in the Phoenix, Arizona area thinking about joining a team and they want to kind of, hear a little bit more about your experiences and to see if the team might be a right fit for you or for them. What do you think? What's the best way to get hold of you if someone wants to kind of just pick your brain and find out what our team's doing and see if it might make sense?
Absolutely. Well, I'm always available. I make myself available to my downline, to anyone on our team at all times. But if you want to get a hold of me, easiest way, my number is 480-250-2310. Or you can always reach me at Benjamin at thekumlergroup.com. And like I said, I'm always willing to have a conversation and just talk back and forth. There's never ever a situation where we're going to expect you to hop on. But if you just want to have a conversation, we'd love to have you on our team.
Yep. Awesome, awesome. Well, again, Benjamin, I definitely appreciate you hopping on. I hope you have an amazing day.
You as well. Thank you, Scott.
Bye, bye, guys.